Algeria, like most North African countries, is a modern state with ancient roots. The region we now call Algeria has been settled for a very long time. So let's go way back, starting with the Carthaginians. Now, before Rome, there was Carthage. Carthage was mostly a North African civilization, and like most civilizations, Carthage started small, then became bigger and bigger. Eventually, they bumped into Rome, which was another civilization getting bigger and bigger. So this meant war. Now, this war went on for hundreds of years, and although the Carthaginians got really close to victory, like right up to the entrance gates of Rome, they just couldn't finish them off due to a lack of resources. Rome eventually won the war and took over Carthage and its North African possessions, so Algeria as we know it was Roman at that time. The Romans then stayed there for many years and used the area as a food source, with wheat being the main produce. And after the Roman Empire fell, many other kings and rulers have fought over the area. For example, the Spanish, Ottomans, and the French. Eventually, after a war of independence, Algeria was established in 1962. In 1982, on the 20th anniversary of Algeria's independence, a monument known as the Martyrs' Memorial was opened to commemorate this event. Here, visitors can learn more about Algeria's history and visit nearby restaurants for a bite. The memorial was built on a site that was used as a garrison in antiquity, which today overlooks the botanical gardens of Alhama. Built by the French in 1832, Alhama started out as a 5-hectare plot for their agricultural plants due to its richness in water and the cool climate near the sea. The aim of the garden was to serve both as a model farm and a test garden to install and study various imported plant species. It has now become a 54-hectare site that includes fountains, an art museum, and a cable car where passengers can get a bird's eye view of the city. Take a trip away from the capital of Algiers to the town of Oran. Oran is Algeria's second largest city and the location for our next destination, the fort and chapel of Santa Cruz. At the time of its construction, Spain was a naval power in the region, and the fort of Santa Cruz was built by them as part of a series of forts to secure their rule over the city, a rule that they maintained for over 300 years. Back in the capital, one can pass time by going to see the Notre Dame d'Afrique, with the engraving Our Lady of Africa Pray for Us and for the Muslims. It serves as a reminder of France's impact on Algeria and the continuing tolerance between the Catholic Church and the Muslim world. The basilica also offers a good vantage point of the city. About an hour's drive west of the capital is the Royal Mausoleum of Mauritania, also known as the Tomb of the Christian Woman. This ancient pyramid-like structure was built in 3 BC by the Numidians, and it served as the resting place for King Juba II and Queen Cleopatra Selene II, who was the daughter of her famous mother Cleopatra VII of Egypt and Mark Antony. While the tomb has been repeatedly looted and lost most of its treasures, including the royal couple's remains, visitors can appreciate the ancient architecture and history behind this fairly unknown gem. An interesting fact is that in 1555 the king of Algiers, Rais, gave orders to pull down the mausoleum, but his plans were thwarted when large wasps found out and stung some of the workers to death. A must-see are the Roman ruins along the coastal area. The Romans occupied the coastal area throughout most of North Africa for around 300 years and established colonies that can still be seen to this day in some areas including what is now Algeria. Starting with the Jamila Museum is a good place to get familiar with this period of the country's history. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, the museum is less than a day's drive from the capital. These include the Timgad ruins, Trajan Ark, and the Ark of Caracalla. Another UNESCO World Heritage Site is the town of Jamila, which started out as a soldier stronghold under the Romans and later became a market town. As Jamila became more and more of a commercial success, the military aspects of its foundation were no longer prioritized and eventually led to its abandonment and downfall. Located in a mountainous area, it would be best if visitors first went to the nearby museum where many of the town's artifacts are on display and to get a better insight into the history of the area. The ancient Roman city of Timgad was part of the empire's efforts to create a permanent settlement in the area. The site was originally chosen 100 years AD during the rule of Emperor Trajan. The city would eventually become a commercial center for the region. Following its abandonment after the fall of the empire, the city was buried under the sands of time for around 1,000 years. Similar to Pompeii, it was unearthed fairly recently by a British diplomat turned explorer in the 1700s by the name of James Bruce. However, unlike Pompeii, which was preserved under volcanic ash, the Sahara Desert was the safeguard for Imgrad up to its rediscovery. Most of the city's remains are still well preserved, including the notable structures such as the theatre, garrison, and the baths. To cool off after the adventures, one can visit the Palm Beach and enjoy the many activities offered for its many pleasure seekers such as sailing, surfing, or the nearby restaurants for those of you who are foodies. With most of the country made up of the foreboding Sahara Desert, temperatures can easily reach the extremes. However, the coastal area, which is where most of the population is, has a Mediterranean climate, so that means warm dry summers and mild rainy winters.